It was a seemingly ordinary summer afternoon in Beirut, the vibrant capital of Lebanon. The air, thick with the August heat, carried the familiar sounds of life, the distant call to prayer, the chorus of car horns, and the murmur of conversation from bustling sidewalk cafes. This was the city they called the Paris of the Middle East, a place celebrated for its breathtaking beauty, its rich tapestry of history, and above all, its remarkable time-tested resilience. At the heart of this metropolis lay the port of Beirut, the nation's economic artery. For a country heavily reliant on imports, this port was more than just a commercial hub, it was its very lifeline. Through these gates flowed nearly everything the country needed to survive and thrive. Essential food to feed its people, critical medicine for its hospitals, and the raw materials that fueled its industries. The constant hum of activity was the city's pulse. But on this day, August 4th, 2020, the sun was setting on this era of normalcy. Unbeknownst to the millions of souls going about their daily lives, the city was on the precipice of an unimaginable cataclysm. In a matter of hours, the vibrant capital of Lebanon would witness a moment of devastation so profound, so utterly destructive, that it would send shockwaves across the globe and bring the world to a standstill. The source of this impending doom was not an invading army or a natural disaster. It was a silent, insidious danger, hidden in plain sight within the port's sprawling complex. Tucked away inside a nondescript warehouse, just hundreds of meters from residential neighborhoods and busy highways, a chemical time bomb had been quietly ticking, patiently waiting for years to be armed. The building was designated Warehouse 12. Inside, haphazardly stored, were 2,750 metric tons of ammonium nitrate. This compound has a dual nature. In controlled amounts, it's a common agricultural fertilizer that helps crops grow, but in large, unstable quantities, it becomes one of the most powerful non-nuclear explosives known to man. The sheer volume sitting in Warehouse 12 was a catastrophic accident waiting to happen, a destructive power equivalent to over a kiloton of TNT. This colossal stockpile hadn't arrived overnight. It had been languishing in the warehouse for nearly 6 years, confiscated from a ship in 2014. Over time, the bags containing the chemical had decayed, torn, and begun to leak, spilling their volatile contents onto the warehouse floor. Repeated warnings from port officials, customs agents, and security personnel about the extreme danger were inexplicably ignored. There were no proper ventilation systems, no fire suppression measures, no safety protocols, just a mountain of explosive material, growing more unstable with each passing day. It was a seemingly ordinary Tuesday afternoon in Beirut, August 4th, 2020. The city hummed with its usual rhythm. At the port of Beirut, one of the region's busiest hubs, a subtle anomaly appeared, a plume of grey smoke rising from Warehouse 12. Initial reports were sparse, just another fire in a sprawling industrial port. Few paid it any mind. As the smoke thickened, turning a sinister black, curiosity mounted. Along the waterfront and from nearby balconies, residents and workers gathered, phones raised to record the spectacle. A sense of unease mingled with fascination, but the true scale of the danger remained incomprehensible. No one could imagine they were documenting the prelude to one of the most powerful non-nuclear explosions in history. The flames inside the warehouse intensified with unnatural ferocity, emitting strange, crackling sounds and sending brilliant sparks into the dark smoke. For the firefighters who had bravely rushed to the scene, these were alarming signs. Then a smaller blast erupted from the fire's heart, a loud, sharp crack that shook the ground, a violent warning of the horror to come. But that was just the opening act. At precisely 6:08 p.m., the 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate detonated. In an instant, a blinding flash of white light vaporized the warehouse. A colossal fireball erupted, swelling into a terrifying sphere of orange and white. This was a detonation of unimaginable force, unleashing the energy equivalent of 1.1 kilotons of TNT, a blast carrying roughly 1/10 the devastating power of the atomic bomb that leveled Hiroshima. Immediately following the flash came the shockwave, a visible dome of compressed air, racing outwards at over 900 kilometers per hour. It scoured the port clean, then slammed into the city. The sound was apocalyptic, a deafening roar accompanying the instantaneous shattering of countless windows. Glass exploded inwards as lethal projectiles. Buildings crumbled, facades were ripped away. In a matter of seconds, the shockwave had redrawn the map of Beirut. In seconds, over 200 people were dead. More than 6,500 were injured. The blast created a crater 43 meters deep and 140 meters wide. Entire neighborhoods were destroyed, leaving 300,000 people homeless. Hospitals were overwhelmed, operating in dark hallways as power failed. Ammonium nitrate undergoes a chemical reaction that releases massive amounts of gas and heat in milliseconds. The pressure wave was felt in Cyprus, 240 kilometers across the Mediterranean Sea. As the dust settled over a shattered cityscape, grief quickly gave way to a burning collective rage. The questions were deafening. How could such dangerous material sit in the heart of a capital city for so long? This wasn't seen as a tragic accident, but as the inevitable result of systemic corruption and criminal negligence. Fueled by years of economic collapse and political disillusionment, public anger erupted into massive protests, a roar of defiance demanding justice and accountability for the unforgivable. For Beirut, the explosion wasn't just a disaster, it was a profound trauma inflicted upon a city already on its knees. The nation was already grappling with a crippling economic crisis and a paralyzed political system. The blast was the ultimate violent manifestation of the state's failure, a deep wound on top of years of hardship. The memorials that sprang up, adorned with flowers and the faces of the lost, became sacred spaces of mourning, not just for the victims, but for a nation's loss of security and hope. Today, parts of Beirut are still rebuilding, a testament to the city's unbreakable spirit. Yet the reconstruction is uneven, and the scars of that day remain. Some buildings stand restored next to hollowed-out shells, their empty windows like vacant eyes. These physical reminders are dwarfed by the invisible wounds carried by the survivors, the trauma and grief that time struggles to heal. The scars remain, both in the skyline and in the hearts of its people. The Beirut port explosion is a harrowing reminder that danger isn't always in war or nature. Sometimes the greatest threat is born from the slow, quiet erosion of responsibility, from our neglect, our mistakes, and our failure to act. It is a story of warnings ignored and duties abdicated. While the port slowly returns to life, a fragile symbol of rebirth, the memory of that single cataclysmic moment, born from years of neglect, remains, because in the end, it took just one moment to change a city forever.